In 2010, YouTube replaced the original 1 to 5 star rating system on videos with a binary like and dislike system. Since then, many videos have gone on to garner immense amounts of dislikes, with a few holding the world record for various lengths of time. For this video, I'll be chronicling the history of YouTube's most disliked videos, with the one exception of children's songs and educational videos. They take up more than half of the top 50 most disliked videos on YouTube, in part due to the insane amounts of views from parents who don't want to raise their own children, and also in part due to these channels being wrapped in controversy. With that said, let's jump into YouTube's most disliked videos.
Oppan Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style.
First up, we have Gangnam Style. For any of you Zoomers, this was a ridiculously popular music video released in 2010 by artist Psy, and is one of the few on the list with a somewhat close to acceptable like ratio. This only has an 11% dislike ratio, which is a lot for normal YouTube, but nothing compared to some others on this list. The reason this video still reaches the top 40 most disliked is purely due to its popularity. This track was an absolute icon in the 2010s, and it has over 5 billion views on YouTube. With that much attention, you're sure to get a lot of dislikes, even with a fairly decent like ratio, so this makes the list at 2.9 million dislikes. Skipping over a few children's songs, we arrive at another music video released by YouTuber Bieber's Beauty Palace. I had no idea this one even existed prior to researching this video, but it has 3.3 million dislikes. It's just a classic YouTuber thinks they could have a music career style video where they overestimate their abilities, use overly simple lyrics, and heavily overuse auto-tune. Though with only 64 million views, it has a dislike ratio of 84.5% and makes the list ahead of Gangnam Style. But let's take a break from music videos for a second and take a look at one of the most disliked Indian videos on YouTube. This is a strange one, as it was poster Mr. Faisu's first ever YouTube video, and it's simply a vlog of him exploring a city called Shillong in India. As far as I could tell, the reason this video has over 3.8 million dislikes is because Mr. Faisu was a TikToker who tried to come over to YouTube, and for whatever reason at the time, Indian TikTok and Indian YouTube were in a war of sorts, with each side dislike bombing creators that came over from the opposite platform. This video from Mr. Faisu took the worst of it, and it became the most disliked Indian tube video of all time for a while, with a dislike ratio of a whopping 86.3%.
You seen that? Unknown. Unidentified settlement ships. You are moving into a restricted...
Next up on our list though is probably one you'll all recognize, that being the Call of Duty Infinite Warfare reveal trailer. In the mid-2010s, Call of Duty was going in a very new and futuristic direction, with many of the games released around that time featuring advanced movement and sci-fi campaign stories, a stark contrast to Call of Duty's roots, as a slightly more gritty, realistic representation of warfare, quick-scoping Adderall kids aside of course. Community sentiment had been building over the course of Black Ops 3 and Advanced Warfare that this direction was not working for the player base, but because of the long development cycle of a AAA game, Infinite Warfare was already close to release and couldn't be changed so quickly. When the reveal trailer dropped and it was the most futuristic Zoomer COD game we'd ever seen, the community finally broke and dislike bombed the video to high heaven, with it receiving 3.97 million dislikes and a ratio of 84.9%. Back to music videos for our next entry though, and this is another one that everyone alive throughout the early 2010s should know, that being Rebecca Black's Friday music video. This fairly unassuming video garnered very little attention on its original release, but about a month afterwards, comedian Michael J. Nelson and the comedy series Tosh.0 showcased the video and ripped into it for being the perfect example of how not to write a song, due to the mind-numbing lyrics and horrific auto-tune. This caused the video to go viral, with it peaking at 166 million views and 4.08 million dislikes before being copyright claimed by its own artist. Yes, due to a legal dispute with the label that published the song trying to charge $2.99 per watch of the video on YouTube, Rebecca Black and her legal team copyright claimed the video, and it was taken off of YouTube for a few months before being restored after the legal dispute was resolved. This video was also sadly one of the many cases where the hatred went too far, and Rebecca Black received numerous death threats and abusive messages telling her to harm herself over a simple song she posted. Sticking with music videos though, next up is another one you've almost certainly heard of, that being Dame Tu Cosita. This Spanish song released in 2018 has garnered over 4 billion views, which is a large part of why it ranks so high on the most disliked list. With a ratio of 25.6% dislikes, it's one of the less hated entries on the list, but the sheer amount of views carries it here. The song itself is already catchy AF, but I can't help but think the strange dancing alien in the music video helped massively in boosting its popularity into the stratosphere.
Despacito, quiero respirar tu cuello despacito. Despacito.
Our next entry is very similar, that being Despacito. Pretty much becoming its own meme with its release in 2017, the music video for Despacito is among the most viewed videos on YouTube, and is part of the Bigger Than Humanity club with over 8.4 billion views. The dislike ratio on this one is actually pretty great by this list standards at only 10%, but much like Dame Tu Cosita, having this many views will naturally lead to a high amount of dislikes, even with a fairly decent like ratio, and so Despacito makes the list.
Every day, bro, with the Disney Channel flow. 5 mil on YouTube in 6 months, never done before.
Next up, it's Everyday Bro. This music video released by Jake Paul in 2017 also became its own meme, and while it didn't reach the absurd popularity of our last two entries, it has still garnered an impressive 300 million views as of writing. With such insightful and profound lyrics as "just dropped some new merch and it's selling like a god church" and "England is my city," I'm genuinely surprised how this video has so many dislikes. It's an absolute masterpiece, and it must just be the haters trying to keep our man Jake down, as this video has received 5.46 million dislikes with a 63.6% ratio. Back to Spanish music videos though, the song Flores, released by Vital and Luisa Sonsa, received over 126 million views. The reason for this video having 5.53 million dislikes seems to be that the couple featured in the video broke up shortly after releasing it, and it might have been an abusive relationship. Honestly, I'm grasping at straws here by Google translating Spanish and Portuguese YouTube comments to try and piece this one together, as I can't find any actual information about why it's so hated online. If you're a Spanish or Portuguese speaker that knows more about this one, please do elaborate below.
What's fucking good? 1 million dislikes! Can we smash it? 1 million dislikes, or I'll drown myself.
But don't worry, I'm back in my element for our next entry, and that's PewDiePie's "Can This Video Get 1 Billion Dislikes?" The video itself was a comedy skit satirizing how channels that most people view as dogshit can get so many dislikes and still rise to the top of the algorithm. So PewDiePie set out to capture some of that negative publicity for himself, requesting in an aggressive manner that everyone watching smash that dislike button. Thankfully, he more than reached his goal, with the video receiving 5.72 million dislikes as of writing and a ratio of 93.7%. Surprisingly, this is only the second highest dislike ratio on the list. Stick around to find out which video has a worse ratio than the most popular YouTuber at the time literally asking his 50 million fans to dislike the video. Skipping over several more children's songs, we arrive at YouTube Rewind 2019. I won't spend too long on this one so as to not spoil a future entry, but due to the previous year's YouTube Rewind being dislike bombed, Rewind 2019 was also dislike bombed for sort of the meme at that point. It was just a compilation of the most watched and liked videos from creators in 2019. It did sort of have a bit of a, "oh yeah, you didn't like the previous Rewind? Well, here's what you did like" vibe. But overall, it wasn't that terrible of a video. Still, it garnered 9.59 million dislikes with a ratio of 93.3%.
Johnny, Johnny.
Yes, Papa.
Eating sugar.
No, Papa.
Okay, I know I said children's videos are banned for the list, but I'm making an exception for our next entry, which is Johnny, Johnny, Yes, Papa. This is a kid's video, yes, but it sort of became a cultural phenomenon when it released in 2016, and unlike the other children's videos we've skipped over for the list, you have almost certainly heard of this one. The video for it is extremely weird and honestly a little creepy, but I guess kids enjoy it since it has 6.9 billion views. It simply features a kid trying to eat sugar while his meddling grandpa foils his plans at every turn. The dislike ratio, while bad at 40.7%, isn't as horrific as some others on this list, but having almost as many views as there are people alive on Earth means that this video is the first to break the 10 million dislike barrier, and it shatters it at a whopping 11.95 million dislikes. Back to standard music videos though, next up is the truly iconic Baby by Justin Bieber. This might be the first ever YouTube video to receive such widespread hate, as it released in early 2010, not long after YouTube changed from the 5-star system to the binary like-dislike system. You all know this song, I don't really need to explain why people dislike bombed it, but it actually has one of the more tame ratios for the list at only 38.26%. Abysmal by most standards, but good compared to some others on this list. With 3.1 billion views, that ratio translates into an insane amount of dislikes though, with 12.48 million in total, beating out Johnny, Johnny, Yes, Papa despite having half the views, because 3-year-olds watching on repeat tend to not interact with the videos, while the audience for Justin Bieber's hit single are a bit more discerning, though only just.
आज देख लिया तो ऐसी मौत मरने के लिए नहीं बना है मेरे दोस्त
Coming in at the number 3 most disliked video of all time on YouTube, we have the Sadak 2 trailer. If you haven't heard of this one, I don't blame you. I hadn't until just now either. This is an Indian Bollywood movie trailer that released in August 2020 to the most negative reception ever seen on YouTube. Yes, this is the video that outranks PewDiePie literally asking 50 million people to dislike his video. That one had a 93.72% dislike ratio. This trailer has a 94.86% dislike ratio. As far as I'm aware, the reason for this negativity is that the cast of the film were hired almost entirely due to nepotism and are not actually good actors, with far better talent being available in India for these kinds of movies. Not only is the ratio on this video astronomically terrible, the total dislikes at 13.67 million are horrendous, and the interaction rate is sky high. This video only has 81 million views, which sounds like a lot, but when you compare it to Johnny Johnny Yes Papa, which has 6.9 billion views and still less dislikes, it's clear that this trailer is arguably the most hated video on YouTube, even if it doesn't objectively have the most dislikes. Alright, so one final exception to the no children's video rule. Baby Shark is a children's music video released in 2016 that, while popular with children, sort of transcended that niche to become a meme within the wider YouTube world as well. With an absolutely stratospheric 14 billion views, almost 2 views per person alive on this planet, Baby Shark is actually the most viewed video on YouTube as of writing in 2024. The ratio on this is comparatively quite decent at only 31.7% dislikes, but the sheer amount of views that this video has just carries it over several lower entries that are more hated but less popular. Baby Shark has 14.97 million dislikes as of writing and comes in as the number 2 most disliked video on YouTube.
Yeah, it's rewind time.
But finally, we've reached the pinnacle of hatred on this platform with our number 1 most disliked video ever, and of course, it's YouTube Rewind 2018. This video has reached somewhat of a mythic status on this platform in the way that it completely flew in the face of everything we, the viewers, like about YouTube. This platform is about personality, unique perspectives, building communities, and so YouTube decided that filling the video all about celebrating all of that with celebrities and cringe Fortnite dances instead of some of the actual most popular creators on the platform was a good idea. The video itself has spawned countless memes like Will Smith and Casey Neistat's looking like he's been held hostage and forced to watch K-pop videos on repeat. The irony of the title being everyone controls the rewind while the actual video is clearly scripted to high heaven by YouTube themselves is priceless here. As the only video with over 20 million dislikes, congrats to YouTube on creating the most disliked video on their own platform. I guess they wanted to keep that title forever as they've now removed public dislikes entirely, so YouTube Rewind 2018 will forever hold the title as the most disliked video on YouTube.